we look at the same time patent वगैरह है, and that particular product has taken off big time in America. It's a product of your Novo Nordisk, I believe. And sir, I'll tell you, as a Novo Nordisk is concerned, the market cap is the highest among the entire industry because of this particular product. Now, LIVD has also come out with that product. And the product by the name Vigovia, I may be wrong, but at the same time, that product is going to be a blockbuster. Because, after injecting this particular molecule, already is also available. 10 से 15% weight loss भी होता है.
वो है actually that is what the Lancet में आया भी था. I circulated among my fraternity. Not many have actually tried it here, except in Bombay. Shashank Joshi has tried on about 15 patients with certain amount of success. He was quite satisfied. The Shashank Bombay was.
Well, I know him very well.
Of course, you would be. Many others were not very sure.
No, but sir, 2 months back, 2 months back on the front page of Economist,
nausea and other things.
No, on the front page of Economist was this particular product, semaglutide.
Anything that promises to get your weight reduced without making an effort becomes instantly popular.
But
if you tell them कि मंत्र उच्चारण करिए 15 मिनट सुबह आपका वजन का हो जाएगा, that mantra will sell very well.
उसमें ऐसा कहना है लोगों का 5 साल में this can be a molecule of almost glutide, and Lilly is also come out with something, so 4 or 5 products together, it will be worth, $150 billion. That's what they are saying, much more than what, your atorvastatin or lipitor. So that's the type of potential, because the other statistical data which was presented, almost 25 to 30% of people are obese. And as a result of which, at the global level, you are losing close to $4 trillion. So this particular product, going forward should make a difference. I mean, that's the article. That apart from diabetes.
No, we shared that article. The Lancet, it was there. But the point is that it's gaining, it's attracting attention because of its weight loss characteristics.
The biggest was the day
anything that leads to weight loss will automatically lead to reduction in insulin resistance. Even if the weight reduction happens in the natural course, it will lead on to reduction in insulin resistance.
Yes.
So see whether it actually has effect in material of that. The very fact the weight loss is happening will have an effect. It's that way now.
So the side effects will probably be known only after 3-4 years. So the expensive use is
happening. That's the point. Unless you have a follow-up.
Yeah, unless you have a follow-up.
They've identified from a lizard actually that used to be in the Mexico. Actually, the lizard used to manage.
वो क्या है कि उसमें जो market में होता है ना, there will be certain forces which would not be that friendly to that product or the company. So they create all these stories. Like for example, when this insulin came, they said ये pig का आ गया, pork का आ गया, flan, हाँ ऐसा शोर हुआ, तो इतनी controversy हो गई कि लगाना ही नहीं है.
Even today, something like low molecular weight heparin, which you are making out of China se pig se aata hai. Arabian countries are very reluctant to use low molecular weight.
That is because the market forces, they all act in contradiction. So each section has its own interest.
Oh, yeah.
वो तरह से चलता है, not based on any compensatory.
Also, fatty liver and cirrhosis. All trials are on semaglutide or
I came in the Central European countries. I was amazed. Serbia, the largest selling product was Himalayas Live 52. So I asked for that manager there, who was of course a European. He was very happy being associated with that. Okay, some khate because they think this will. With each drink, this is selling like in a country like Serbia, live people will. I'm not sure. Nobody knows that.
Nobody knows that.
Anabolic properties are very
नहीं वो ऐसे ही देते हैं वो कई लोग दे रहे हैं ऐसे
हमारे बहुत सारे कुछ तो एक आदमी जो होता है पूरा इन्फेक्टेड लोग खा रहे
in fact when we earlier ये जो वर्ल्ड डायबिटीज डे है जून में मनाते थे so we only say I was in the RSSDA we said let's go by the relevant evidence. So the evidence was that it is November 14. So WHO को propose किया. Then WHO agreed. So agreed on observing November 14 as the जो incidentally यहाँ पर बाल दिवस ही होता है. तो उन्होंने कहा सब क्यों? हमने कहा because this is the day when for the first time Western Banting in a physiology journal club जैसे हमारे medical college में होता है तो डॉक्टर जानते हैं. He had disclosed the information that look here I have tried it and it has helped. उसकी कंट्रोवर्सी शुरू नहीं हुआ कोई कहने लगा साहब नहीं ये तो पेंटिंग का अपना जन्मदिन था इसलिए उसने किया and then stories started going on and on so many journals all the Shashank Mohan are aware of it. Finally another person came with a very strange story. He said no it's the birthday of the dog into which he injected. So they are making a mockery. So much of struggle we had to undergo in order to get that date actually accepted.
Our Honorable Minister.
Yeah, so we'll start with the introduction.
Okay.
So our Chief Guest, Honorable Minister, then Secretary.
I'm Rajesh. Good afternoon, sir. I'm Narendra Arora, formerly Professor of Pediatrics at AIIMS New Delhi and currently President of AIIMS Gennova.
I am Dr. Shiv Sareen. I am a hepatologist and work as a director of the Institute for Liver and Biliary Sciences. I'm Naveen Khanna. I work for ICTV. Now I'm advising Sanjay on cytokine vaccine.
Namaskar, sir. I am Dr. Shirshendu Mukherjee. I am the Mission Director in BioTechnology and the in charge of Mission COVID Suraksha.
Good afternoon, sir. My name is Dr. Shubhra Chakraborty. I'm the Director of Operation BioTech.
Good morning, sir. I am Dr. Vamsi from Department of Biotechnology.
How do you assume that you are so popular?
नहीं popular नहीं sir. हम तो outsider लोग हैं.
Not outsider. You are part of
मेरा नाम
some media. We have some media persons also.
मेरा नाम पल्लव बागला है. मैं विज्ञान का पत्रकार हूँ और भारत की वैक्सीन ने कोविड से बचाया था. कोवैक्सीन लिया था और एम्स ने बचाया.
तिलकराज रेलन संपादक युग दर्पण पिछले 22 वर्षों से एक ऐसा मीडिया जो आर्थिक दृष्टि से नहीं बल्कि राष्ट्रीय सर्वोपरि को लेकर चलाया जा रहा है नॉन प्रॉफिट.
Dipendra Kumar, All India Radio.
Kalyan Ray from Deccan Herald.
Chandrasekhar.
Ojasvi Gupta from Akashvani News, and it's an absolute pleasure to be amongst such distinguished panel of scientists and Honorable Minister. Thank you so much.
Namaskar, sir. I'm Nidhi, Director of Finance, Biotech.
I'm Rakhi here.
Namaskar, I'm Kavita Singh, the former Mission Director for National Biopharma Mission. I'm Amita Gupta. I'm a professor at Delhi University, South Campus. We have collaboration with Gennova Biopharma.
I am Vijay Chaudhary. In the same capacity, I am at the University of Delhi South Campus. We collaborate with Sanjay on therapeutic antibody-based products.
Satish Mehta, Chairman Gennova.
Sanjay Singh, CEO Gennova.
Namaskar, sir. Amita Sharma, Senior Advisor, Department of Biotechnology.
Namaskar, sir. Virat member of API also.
Yeah, so
So once again, namaskar. Acha. So once again, namaskar. So we welcome you all today. Yes, yes. We welcome our Honorable Minister, sir, Professor Vinod Paul, sir, Professor N.K. Arora, and all other esteemed guests, along with our Secretary, Department of Biotechnology, to this launch of our formal launch of a GEMCOVAC-OM, Omicron-specific mRNA-based booster vaccine, which has been a flagship vaccine and the first of its kind vaccine, which can be maintained at 2 to 8 degrees. It has been supported by the initiative of the Department of Biotechnology under Mission COVID Suraksha and has been implemented by BIRAC. As we understand, know that Mission COVID Suraksha has been a very important mission implemented by the Government of India through the Department of Biotechnology and BIRAC, which created the ammunitions to fight the pandemic. The mission generated 5 vaccines, 19 GCP compliant sites, 6 clinical emergency sites, 5 BSL-3 labs, and animal challenge facility, to name a few. The facilities generated will help us to fight future pandemic, what it should not happen. So with this, may I now request our Secretary, sir, and Chairman BIRAC, Dr. Rajesh Gokhale, to present the bouquet to our Honorable Minister, sir.
Yes, sir.
May I request Dr. Alka Sharma, Senior Advisor, Department of Biotechnology, and former Managing Director, BIRAC, to give her welcome address, ma'am.
Thank you, Dr. Mukherjee. On behalf of Department of Biotechnology and BIRAC, it is my pleasure to welcome respected Dr. Jitendra Singh Ji, Minister of State Independent Jar, Ministry of Science and Technology, Minister of State PMO, Ministry of Personnel, Public Grievances and Pensions, Department of Atomic Energy and Department of Space, Government of India. I also welcome Dr. Vinod K. Paul, Member, Health Niti Aayog, Dr. Rajesh S. Gokhale, Secretary, Department of Biotechnology and Chairman BIRAC, Dr. N.K. Arora, Executive Director, Incline Trust, Dr. S.K. Sarin, Director, ILBS, Dr. Naveen Khanna from ICGEB, Managing Director, BIRAC, Dr. Jitendra Kumar, Dr. Sanjay Singh, CEO of Gennova, and also we have Chairman from Gennova and his entire team from Gennova Pharmaceuticals, my colleagues from DBT and BIRAC, all the participants from various organizations, press and media with us today. And during this launch of GEMCOVAC, Omicron-specific mRNA vaccine, followed by interaction of the Honorable Minister with the press. So as you are aware, Dr. Mukherjee has already briefed about this vaccine. So this is an Omicron-specific mRNA booster vaccine and developed using indigenous platform technology and supported under Mission COVID Suraksha, led by Department of Biotechnology and implemented by BIRAC, and received emergency use authorization recently from DCGI. And short video will be played during the event about this vaccine. So in today's event, our Honorable Minister will launch GEMCOVAC vaccine, followed by interaction of the Honorable Minister with the press. So I once again welcome each one of you for today's important event for all of us, for the country. Thank you. Thank you very much. Once again, welcome each one.
Thank you, ma'am, for your welcome remarks. With your permission, sir, we have a 1.5 minute video to be shown on the journey of development of GEMCOVAC under Mission COVID Suraksha. Video, please.
Department of Biotechnology has facilitated establishing Gennova's mRNA-based next-generation vaccine manufacturing for developing the platform technology from proof of concept till phase 1 clinical trial of the prototype mRNA-based vaccine developed against the Wuhan strain. The project was further supported under the Mission COVID Suraksha. The Indian COVID-19 Vaccine Development Mission by Department of Biotechnology's dedicated Mission Implementation Unit at Biotechnology Industry Research Assistance Council for further clinical development and scale-up of the prototype vaccine, which received EUA on 29 June 2022. The platform technology developed was used to develop an Omicron-specific booster vaccine for COVID-19. GEMCOVAC-OM is an Omicron-specific mRNA-based booster vaccine developed using the indigenous platform technology by Gennova in collaboration with Department of Biotechnology. This vaccine has got a nod from the Office of the Drug Control General of India for emergency use authorization. GEMCOVAC is the first booster COVID-19 vaccine developed in India against the highly transmissible Omicron variant. The booster vaccine can be administered to individuals who have received 2 doses of either Covaxin or Covishield. The vaccine has demonstrated robust immune responses in phase 3 clinical trials conducted at 20 centers across 13 cities in India. 1.2 million doses of GEMCOVAC-OM approved and ready to be released by CDL. It would be administered intradermally in a needle-free way through Tropis Pharma jet technology. DBT BIRAC. Creating national and global impact, focusing on testing, treatment and prevention.
Thank you. May I now request Professor N.K. Arora, Executive Director, Inclin Trust, and also the Chair of the Vaccine Expert Committee of Mission COVID Suraksha, to give his remarks, please. Sir, over to you, sir.
Honorable Minister, Sir, Dr. Jitendra Singh Ji, and dear friend, Professor Vinod Paul, Dr. Rajesh Gokhale, and the distinguished guests. I had the honor to chair the Vaccine Expert Committee and saw the development through last 3.5 years. In fact, I remember right in February, it became very clear that vaccine will be our key tool for fighting the pandemic. And the guidance given by the Honorable Prime Minister of Atmanirbharta, it was decided that in BIRAC and DBT should invest on vanguard technology where India may not have much experience, but this high-risk investment was considered absolutely strategic and necessary. And the result is that today, as Dr. Sashendu said, we have 6 new vaccine R&D platforms available. In fact, India was a kind of a contract vaccine manufacturer so far. But now probably India is probably only country which has all the 6 platforms to manufacture vaccines in this country, and mRNA is one of these. In fact, all of us know that Pfizer and Moderna were 2 vaccines, mRNA vaccines, which came in 21. There are several other industries and groups which have been trying, but nobody else has succeeded. India is there, that we have our own mRNA vaccine. It was intramuscular vaccine to begin with, and now we have the world's first intradermal mRNA vaccine, which has 2 kind of uniqueness. One is it is self-replicating. No other mRNA vaccine is self-replicating. The second is this vaccine has been manufactured for India and other global south countries. It is stored at 2 to 8 degrees. And that is the other highlight, that right, I remember in April 2020, or it was May 2020, when the proposal was given to us, the first question was that the vaccine should be for our countries, not like Moderna and Pfizer, which requires ultra cold chain requirements. The other important point is that we have seen the evolution of COVID pandemic in our country, and Omicron particularly assured. In fact, I am associated with INSACOG Genomic Surveillance Network also. During last 15 months, over 350 subvariants of Omicrons have come up, and today XBB variant is the dominant variant. It means we have to be ready that in case a naughty virus comes, we should be able to handle that. And Gennova has come up in that they have come up with GEMCOVAC-OM, which is Omicron vaccine. Again, I would say it is far-sightedness on the part of the company that they have developed a monovalent Omicron vaccine. The vaccine was, I think, ready by March or April, but only on 17th May, the WHO has come up with a statement that today the most appropriate vaccine for COVID is a monovalent Omicron-based vaccine. And this is the vaccine. So we have state-of-art vaccine available for Indians, and which provides not only protection for the older viruses, but a wide range of Omicron subvariants. So it's a matter of great honor that this country has, and it is. We don't stop here. This mRNA platform is for several new next frontiers. Be it dengue vaccine, be it HPV vaccine, RSV. So I've been associated with HPV vaccine also, and now we have another platform available, and we can really scale new heights and be at the forefront and not wait for decades for any new vaccine to come into this country and forever. My congratulations to Gennova, and my deep appreciation to DBT and BioRec for this strategic investment. Thank you very much for this opportunity.
Thank you, sir. Thank you once again for chairing the vaccine expert committee, which was regularly monitoring every month on the progress of the vaccine development and mentoring the entire process. Now, I have the pleasure to request Dr. Sanjay Singh, CEO and the lead PI for GEMCOVAC-OM, to give his talk about the journey of GEMCOVAC-OM and how it went through. Over to you, Dr. Singh.
Thank you, Honorable Minister, Science and Technology. I would like to take this opportunity to say that we are very lucky to have you as a Science and Technology Minister. We can indulge in science, we can indulge in clinical trials, and we can indulge in outcome of the clinical trials, and we can also look for the future. Very lucky to have you, sir, here. Professor Paul, this was a very difficult journey because it was a very new innovation, and Professor Paul handled the whole just like a godfather. Even for 30-minute interview, I have gone during lunch, and he has entertained us. Thank you very much, sir. Professor Arora, given very difficult time for 2.5 years, because every month you have to write the report, you have to go for presentation, you have to answer. So the team of like 30 experts, which was also having international, and this was very good because I think we have got unique opportunity to evolve and get reviewed. As a scientist, I feel this is a very critical point. And then again, our Secretary Rajesh Ji, a top-rated scientist. For our major, it's very difficult to say top-rated scientist. Top-rated scientist. My team, half of the members looks like has worked with him at some point of time. Entrepreneur, and now the DVT Secretary. Very nice to have you here, sir, and for giving this honor. I would like to, sir, I have a very quick video, and I am one of them. This is the team where everybody was sleeping at home. We were only having the police at the road, and we were going to the company. We have not stopped for a day. We all got infected one point or other, but we didn't stop. So I want to walk through this journey, and also through a very difficult time you will see in the video. So very quick video, sir. I need your permission to go for this 5-minute video. Then I have a presentation. If you permit, go ahead.
As the world spiraled into the grip of the COVID-19 global pandemic, the race for vaccines started. Among the first vaccines that got emergency use authorization were based on the messenger RNA technology. These were highly effective vaccines, but had major challenges in thermostability and logistics. posing great challenges in taking the mRNA vaccines across developing nations.
I'm hopeful that as the mRNA platform matures in the years ahead, we'll solve both the scaling problems, which will bring the cost down, and will make this cold chain requirement unnecessary.
And my answer to the Prime Minister was one-to-one, that yes, many groups will try to solve this problem, and if we will be part of them.
Gennova took up the challenge of vaccine democratization and embarked to develop a thermostable mRNA vaccine for COVID-19, which could be deployed at 2 to 8 degrees centigrade.
We decided to choose self-amplifying mRNA vaccine, which was already in itself a big challenge because self-amplifying mRNA is a longer sequence, a quite large sequence compared to mRNAs. Making that assembling it with the nanoparticles itself is a big challenge, was a big challenge for us.
Using this self-amplifying, the biggest advantage we get is the dose-sparing effect, so that we can see in our case also, Gennova's mRNA is given at a dose of 10 microgram, and same time, Moderna is given at 100 microgram dose, which is a non-amplifying mRNA acid.
And to add to this, we were also thinking that the penetrability in India, let's say a remote village in India, where you can transport things very routinely, transporting a vaccine at -80 degrees centigrade and setting up a storage place in that village at -80 degrees centigrade is almost impossible in our country. So that is when we realized that the greatest challenge was not to make the mRNA, not to assemble the mRNA, but to develop a vaccine which is stable at 2 to 8 degrees centigrade, or for that matter at ambient temperatures.
In Gennova's mRNA vaccine, GEMCOVAC-19, the mRNA is adsorbed on the surface of the nanolipid emulsion, thereby easing manufacturability and minimizing losses. This makes the process scalable and amenable for the equitable distribution of the vaccine globally.
The challenge was twofold. We have to develop a process in very strict timelines, and also we have to scale this process so as to we supply the market, commercial supplies of the product.
It was almost 30 times scale up at the commercial plant, which was a difficult task to start with. The big challenge was just to lyophilize the vaccine at such a large scale. It was almost 50,000 vials per batch.
To cater to the global production requirement, supplies of critical materials were low on availability, leading to high cost and long lead times. Backward integration would reduce the cost of manufacturing and mitigate the risk of supply chain disruptions. The mRNA vaccine candidate required new analytical methods to be developed for quality control.
The difficult aspect of this journey is like to set up in very short span the qualified and manufacturing facility of a large scale. Say for example of 50,000 vials per batch, something like that, or 10 million doses.
The biggest challenge was setting up the assays or the technical aspect of the mRNA vaccine, which was new, and there was no precedent to see what are the quality checks that apply to mRNA vaccine.
Scientists at Gennova worked in tandem with regulators to develop the vaccine and establish the first indigenous mRNA platform technology.
It was a new field, a new subject even for the country. And I would say, the regulators, they did a great job in developing the guidelines in order to help all around the development throughout India, like how we can accelerate the vaccine development project. And despite that, yes, as I told you that it was an uncharted territory, it was a lot of back and forth discussions, a lot of intensive engagements that we had. Our perseverance to hold the line during a tough time was our key to success. And yeah, as the saying goes, tough times make tough people. And at Gennova, we are.
Gennova aspires to transform the healthcare of millions of people through innovation and creation of an unprecedented disease-agnostic mRNA technology-based facility that empowers the world for future pandemics. As the situation evolves, a new threat has emerged on the horizon. The world received an alarming report where the daily cases of COVID-19 surged exponentially. This sudden rise was attributed to the emergence of a highly concerning variant known as Omicron. The WHO declared Omicron as a variant of concern on 26 November 2021. The Omicron variant, distinguished by over 30 mutations in its spike protein, has proven to be significantly more transmissible than the Delta strain. It swiftly established itself as the predominant strain, posing a grave threat to global health.
Gennova utilized the state-of-the-art mRNA-based vaccine platform to quickly update its COVID-19 vaccine to target specifically the Omicron strain.
We are trying to always think of ideas to optimize our products. The mRNA technology was quite new for us and the learning curve was quite steep. Still, we got a vaccine approved. We not only lyophilized it, but for the booster, we changed the mechanism or the route of delivery. We use this system called Tropis by a company called PharmaJet. It is a needle-free system, so it doesn't have a needle, so it's good for people with needle phobia. It's better for sharps disposal, etc. WHO has used this product in the field, and they've got a lot of positive reviews from not only the caregivers but also the people who have received the vaccine. And we're quite excited for our product to roll out in the market. I think the reviews that we get from the people who have taken our vaccine are going to be the fruits of all our hard work that we've put in the 2 years.
Our aim was to create Go Anywhere mRNA vaccine. That's what we have done in the last 2 years. Our mRNA vaccine platform is now ready for any vaccine in a lyophilized condition, 2 to 8 stable, with a good penetrability in countries like India.
It has given a huge boost to our own confidence. Yes, we succeeded as the third company in the world and first outside the US which has delivered this vaccine. I will go through, because of your personality, we should go through a little bit of intelligence, what the data, how we are taking and how we want taking forward. Because it is not only this vaccine, but the kind of research effort and collaboration has gone, it will take to the next level. Can you put the foot on? So I will go very quickly. So there are 4 parts I'm presenting. The development of... Okay. So there are 4 parts I'm presenting the development of GEMCOVAC-OM. What is the significance and what is the need for it? What are the clinical outcomes and what is the future of mRNA-based vaccine? This is the most important part. So if you, I don't have to explain to you, there was generation 1 vaccine and it is 100-year-old Professor Jenner's lab at Oxford. So a lot of vaccines has come and India also that Covaxin and China Sinopharma was there, and a lot of vaccines are still used from that. But as science evolved, it brings some benefits and brings some science into it. So the next one has come, it's protein-based when the DNA and recombinant DNA technology came, and the most successful vaccines are influenza, hepatitis B, and HPV. And Corbavax and Sanofi also came recently with the protein-based platform. The third platform was adenovirus-based vaccines, and there was no vaccine approved for this. A limited use emergency authorization was given for BSV Ebola vaccine, and where the Covishield and Sputnik came. And then we walked into the generation 4, this is mRNA vaccine. And as soon as, because it is not the COVID where we started this program, we were already working on mRNA and more with like Professor Sareen, we are looking into personalized cancer vaccines. Because the cost of cancer treatment is so high, these vaccines can make a difference. So we went into the mRNA, and as we were knowing, this is a very fast technology. The first 2 vaccines which came in the world, it is based on the mRNA technology from Pfizer and Moderna. And then we came, and now the only booster which are available, they are based on mRNA. And we have also come with today, with your hands, we are going to see the vaccine rolling out. This is one very important slide I would like to ask you to focus that we can have these enzymes and these raw material national stockpile or regional stockpile. So we are talking to WHO and other organizations, can we have these regional stockpile? Only you have to mix it, you have to put the new plasmid, a new sequence, and vaccine is made. The turnaround time for this was, Professor Paul here is sitting when they had a meeting at Prime Minister's office, and he called from the car, how much Sanjay time will take this vaccine? I said, sir, 60 days, and we made in 60 days. But we have to look into it, that how regulatory systems support it, because there is some problem that behind the innovation needs that similar kind of support system. So what is the significance of this? The significance is that we are at watch for COVID because we cannot lose our sight from this. We have lost a lot, the world has lost. But if you see, this is a total unique kind of thing. This takes over the whole, within 4 to 5 months it goes over. So many waves are possible. China has faced a couple of weeks back of huge 65 million cases, and it is still not gone. We have to keep a serious watch because virus is continuing mutating. And here, because Professor Arora is a part of the SAGE, and I have worked for the SAGE before becoming the entrepreneur. So we keep watch on this. There is a high priority group, which are older adults, pregnant and adolescents, frontline workers, and also people who have comorbidities like heart condition, lung condition, this. And it is a problem. They need to have this booster, and WHO has recommended they must take the booster as it goes. I think their time is around 6 months. So this is required. And so very proud to say that US has approved. In Europe, it has been approved. In India, we have approved last week. So this is the clinical outcome I would love to present to you. This is the dose, 10 micrograms, single dose intradermal. We have made a multi-dose vial and lyophilized and stable at 2 to 8 degrees centigrade. So you are one of the closest who work with the Prime Minister. And if Prime Minister wants something and you have committed something, how he treats you, you know better than me. So, sir, you can see middle of the night, you can get a call from Dr. Swaroop that sir is asking, how is the progress? How is the progress? And I appreciate this. I'm one of the players into it. This team has put unprecedented effort, and we feel very proud of it, what they have done. Then we have moved on one more innovation because intradermal deliveries are very important because all the defense system is below the skin, sir. All the defense system is below the skin. So because technology was not available, I have worked with WHO when I was in my NIH days, and there we said with the program that intradermal is better for endemic countries because it comes very fast immune response and it also giving cellular response. So at present, mRNA vaccine give the humoral response, but cellular response is not there in runaway. So we feel that giving this technology is going to give some cellular response, something we are publishing, but some things that we are keeping secretly because we want to keep it secret. Only the vaccine effort should make a difference. So we have gone this, and this is the advantage. The biggest advantage for this is being a doctor. If you give this vaccine into, somehow it goes into the vein, it is creating a problem, huge problem. And I don't want to enter further into it. And whatsoever complications happen primarily because of that. Intradermal, there is no chance of vein. And so now somehow the medical practice has gone in India. Nobody has fired it back. They just give it. Nobody has fired it back to check it that whether it has gone into the vein or not. So this is no problem. So we have made the collaboration with PharmaJet. And we are also going to produce backward here. So we have the control on the whole technology. We have done it, sir.
You could also preferred sites for intradermal. Preferred sites for intradermal.
In the body.
Yeah.
And that has been done.
So that a young resident or a new resident does not by mistake, hit upon a vein and rupture it.
Yes.
So we could also.
So sir, it is needle free. So it is just the jet system would just put. So there are 3-4 sites. So we are training it. We are training all the sites at present, sir. So these are the trials we conducted. These are the sites all over the country. And here I will say that, again, DBT was not only funder. It has come from different ways. There were many sites were available. All our challenge studies have been done in sub-sciences, which was also funded by the Challenge Study Center at Institute of Sciences. So they have done. So it is a whole ecosystem was in making. And I think with the effort of the government, with the effort of the DBT, with the effort of the BIRAC, it helped us to move forward. So we have done a 3,140 volunteer trial where Covishield was taken as a comparator. First, I wanted to say that it is safe, no related event, even fever and everything is less into this. And this is a very important fact that our neutralization titer are 1.5x, if you see on the 1.5x, which is very high, and our titers were around 2.6x higher. So basically, we created something and which is superior in every possible term, and it has been approved by the Office of DCGI. I don't want to go into detail. Only I want to say that we have developed it. Not only one vaccine. This is second came from the mRNA platform, and it is moving forward. So this is the booster, and having Omicron booster is very, very important because we have to say that whatever new challenge is going to come, we will solve it. Now, what I said to you that the biggest support, sometimes maybe some institutions, sometimes the scientists feel bad about it, but I am a hardcore scientist. I feel criticism is going to improve me from the review committees. Sometimes very difficult questions used to come. The Gates Foundation was also sitting in the review, some CP people also sitting in the DBT review. But I have taken it very positively, and I would like to tell to the group that the review system is very important because it is not that you just give a money and forget about it. Review must be there, and review must be very, very vigorous because this improves you. It takes to the next level. The second comes that ecosystem, whether we have the ecosystem or not. Somehow, sir, I come from the DBT because we have been funded DBT very nicely. So first direct funding was given to Gennova, which was returnable 10 crores. So today we save 200 to 300 lives every day because this is a new biomanufacturing technology was developed and where we make the stroke. Someday I will come and tell you how difficult it is to do innovation in the country because people who makes non-innovative things, they affect you, and then the multinational also have their own interest into it. So this is how we paved the battle, and where DBT and my Apex committee was sitting and helping into it. So said funding was given. I think this is one of the biggest generous funding has been received by any company. So 25 crore was given by DBT through Indo-CP mission, and they said that you come with the POC, proof of concept. So when we went with the proof of concept, then the next 100 crore was given, and where this has come up. I'm very thankful to DBT because my kind of company, which has the turnover of close to 500 crores, cannot take a project of 500 crores. But I was knowing that DBT is sitting next to us, and it has gone. Another part I want to say with my whole heart that at the booster, because we were a little bit late and something has not happened with the original vaccine, everybody in the management said that, no, don't go for the booster. But my chairman alone said, Sanjay, I'm with you. So today this vaccine is because of him. I would like to mention him. Now coming to the next part, sir. This is the most important part. This is what is the future of mRNA-based vaccinology, and which some expert has said, how we look into it. So on one side, this team is doing research and also in collaboration that we are perfecting mRNA platform where we are looking into disease biology, where optimal antigen targets, B-cell biology, T-cell biology, correlates of protection, and doing backward integration. So at present, when we started, we were having 110% export oriented. We have to bring from import and then we can do everything. Today, we can say more than 90% we are self-reliant on this. All the enzymes we have produced in-house, all the chemicals we are doing, and hopefully coming forward within the 12 to 18 months, we will have all the things made it here. And we have also little bit started exporting outside those reagents and everything. Coming on the right side, which is most important. The first generation we made, the second generation we made, and the third generation, this is another we are working, and this is highly confidential. My secretary knows, because looks like the US government feels that COVID is a problem, and they have put a program for $5 billion funding for next generation vaccine. And in next generation vaccine, we and Harvard are collaborating. Let's see how it goes forward. Second thing is coming that we want to improve the existing vaccine. There is single-use vaccine, so if you take it 3 days, you have to walk like this. So it is so difficult, so painful. So we are working on that. Dengue we have taken as a challenge, and we have brought one of the most expert person, Padam Shri Dr. Naveen Khanna Saab, in our team, and hopefully he will be giving us guidance to go into it. malaria is my own passion. It's a very weak vaccine at present. We can do it. And then we are also looking at HPV. Can we go for a single dose HPV vaccine? Because this is very, very important. I want to the part of the dream of my Prime Minister that no girl left behind having a vaccine of HPV. Then next one is tough task, which is the tuberculosis. We have thought about we can eradicate. And now if the Prime Minister goes and say it in public, we have to work hard, we have to do CSAS, and let's see where we go into it. And respiratory and chikungunya kind of thing. But sir, I want to present to my minister, we have different plans. We are thinking to build a mRNA gigafactory, one of the biggest factories in the world for it. We should have national and regional stockpiles. We have developed the ways, we have broken technology into this that we can go to many places. So we are in discussion with many countries on this. And WHO made its mRNA hub and looks like they need help now. So we are talking to them. And then deployability, this is the biggest thing. And it would have not been happened if the challenge would have not come directly from the Prime Minister. Can you do it? And that challenge it made us happen. So I would like to take this opportunity to thank him for giving such a difficult challenge. Here is this, what I said that into backward integration, we have developed all in-house capabilities to make a plasmid separate. We have made mRNA separate. We can make nanolipid separate, and we can ship these things at different places where they can lyophilize and do it, because if future pandemic comes, it becomes very difficult because you have to have different plants at different level of expertise which can finally end up to produce the product. Very proud to say that last month, Nature featured us that Gennova is one of the leading technology into mRNA in the world. So this is another kind of testimony. And to conclude myself, very feel national pride. We have made the first mRNA 2 to 8 degrees stable. This is updated vaccine. We have demonstrated we can make it as quickly as possible. And the third is the disease diagnostic platform. So this is the walk I wanted to go in front of you. And now I would like to say, sir, I love Kavita, and this is one which has been written by my Prime Minister. Just, I think 2 days back, he said, I would like to use one stanza for it. What is mRNA future? So, आसमान में सिर उठाकर, आसमान में सिर उठाकर, घोर बादलों को चीर कर. It was very difficult walk, sir. Very, very difficult walk for 3 years. रोशनी का संकल्प ले, सूरज तो अभी उगा है. I want to close my talk with this. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Sanjay, and for wonderful way you concluded with the couplets which our Honorable Prime Minister said, I think, yesterday on the meeting. I was listening to it. Thank you, and once again, it was not only your journey, it was at DBT Barracks, our journey as well. As you know, every month under the VEC was reviewing it very critically. And I think we thank the VEC leadership at DBT and Barrack for taking it forward. With this, I have the pleasure in requesting our Secretary, Dr. Rajesh Gokhale, Secretary DBT and Chairman Barrack, to give his address, please. So over to you.
Honorable Minister for Science and Technology, Dr. Jitendra Singh Ji, Dr. Vinod Paul, Member Niti Aayog, Health, Dr. N.K. Arora, Dr. Sanjay Singh, Shri Mehta Ji, Chairman Gennova, all the other esteemed colleagues, Dr. Sarin, and various other friends and colleagues of mine actually who are there, actually as well, friends of people from Gennova, folks from DBT Barrack, and press media. Thank you very much for coming here today. I think it's indeed our great pleasure to really congratulate Gennova as part of the post-success story that government has so proud of, actually, of this company's success, actually. So maybe we should, of course, give a very big we must acknowledge the great role played by our Honorable Minister, actually, who's been constant guidance and freedom to do activities and carry out work, and I think we should also really, really thank him for his all honored guidance. I think what I will do today is just to give you a perspective of how government, in fact, is a partner in innovation, actually. While the funding is a very simple task, it's other successes that are very, very critical to build around that creates these technologies and accepts various aspects. And therefore, I put together a title like India's Unstoppable Vaccine Successes, actually. And I think the whole idea really is that we have now become a country where innovation is probably likely to be the key blockbuster for the future generation to come by. And I think that's where we can, can I get the light change? Remote. Okay. So, this is where the first and foremost as a government of India, actually the mandate is the safety, efficacy and cost effectiveness of the paramount to vaccine development, actually. And that's one of the biggest that we all need to think about and contribute, that, the vaccine is given to a good, healthy person. So therefore the safety is of paramount importance, actually. And then the second aspect is cost effectiveness. Because if you want to bring it in the country, it has to be available for all and has to be, utilized for all. So as you see, several countries, in fact, LMICs are still struggling to have various vaccination programs going around because the technologies are of tremendous, not really same value that we come from. So I think this is where I think India is doing fantastically well, and it supports industries, and a public-private partnership has truly become a model of future success. And as you can see, India has completed more than 200 crore vaccinations, actually. And we're not only proud of RNA vaccine, which does not require food stable, but we are also proud of first DNA vaccine that has come out of India, actually, from part of this program, and also nasal vaccine, which is also unique of its kind, actually. So therefore, this is a very, very important occasion to celebrate for India's success that our Honorable Prime Minister and Honorable Minister, in fact, dreams about, actually. What is DBT doing, actually, as a team together to make this happen? And I think this technology cycle, from innovation to technology cycle, is not just a single player, actually. It's a teamwork that involves variety of activities. So what we do is we strengthen and align science and technology innovation ecosystem. We provide compelling incentives for frontier technologies, workforce transitions and capacity building, synchronizing instruments and institutions so that the regulatory reforms work. And then even for the societal protection that government looks into is to make sure that the vaccine is accepted in the society after it is made, to promote inclusive debate and early on impact of its activity. So together, this is government's entire mandate of activity that requires to be done, actually. And I think that is where DBT BIRAC together as a team has played tremendous amount of role, along with other ministries of government of India, as a whole government approach, which is what is critical for success of any story in any aspect of the world. I think over the years, DBT BIRAC has, in fact, nurtured this activity. So this is not the Mission COVID Suraksha was not the first one that we started with, and that is not the catalytic reason why we were able to do it. It was a National Biopharma Mission, Grand Challenges Program, and INSEPI. All of these, which actually created base and created repositories and various clinical trial sites that permitted you to actually carry out Mission COVID Suraksha in 1 year time. Otherwise you could have never ever proceeded in doing it. And I think all these we should really, successful stories. We should always remember how many of these contributed to the ongoing activities. So, for example, discovery and early development, preclinical development, process development and manufacturing, phase 1 trials, and all these activities, in fact, are critical to the activities of doing things. So, just to give you a perspective how this whole journey started, actually, and again, this is a little bit of overheard from my colleagues because I was not there at the government at that time. It came in the middle of the COVID pandemic when vaccines were halfway through the development process. And so as part of the Government of India's response to COVID-19 pandemic, the Department of Biotechnology and Ministerial launched Mission COVID Suraksha, and we were asked to lead this program as a government entity. The government proactively identified potential manufacturers from vaccine development, and that's a very critical part that, the government reached out to various manufacturers, actually, so I have to be able to say that we have a capacity in the country, can we develop our own systems? Parallelly strengthen good clinical practices, compliant trial sites, and provided access to vaccine developers. Under the mission, provided risk mitigation funding for regulatory toxicology studies, manufacturing clinical trials, materials and clinical development of licensure and COVID-19 protocols. Strengthened existing immunoassays laboratories, central labs for animal studies and production facilities to support vaccine, and then supported capabilities of process development of cell lines and all these activities that requires to co-develop along with this. And it's great to see that Gennova has now end-to-end platforms actually to be able to carry out all these stuffs as we look into the future. I think these are the 5 vaccines that have come out from this program. Actually, ZyCoV-D, DNA vaccine, Corbevax, which is a protein subunit vaccine, BBV-154, which is an intranasal vaccine, and GEMCOVAC-19 and Omicron-GEMCOVAC, which are all of these, which empowers our country as a major platform technologies of vaccine in future to go by. The Mission COVID Suraksha impact I've just talked about, and I will, I think several different people played this, as a team together, and I think various committees and expert members and also implementation people actually on the ground have done fantastic stuff over difficult conditions to come out of these activities. So I just leave you with, biotechnology is likely to be the next technology revolution for sustainable growth of the country, actually. And I just put together how technological evolution has shaped the society for a better world. And you can see in every century, there has been a technology trigger that has provided an incentive and a growth, both in terms of economy and a quality of life, which is critical to the world, actually. It started with Industrial Revolution. And in the past few years, we've seen ICT, in fact, entering into your own houses and homes like never before, actually. I mean, we always wondered whether Indian population would be able to utilize the mobile phones. Now that they do UPI transfers in India, as a 1/3 of the digital transactions happen in our country, actually. So that's how our country has grown. And we believe that AI and biomanufacturing is likely to be the future of how the country's progress will be determined by a sustainable growth model. And just to end, we've initiated a program towards this area of work, actually called Fostering High Performance Biomanufacturing. This is for green, clean, and prosperous India. And we've identified various sectors where biomanufacturing can in fact play a tremendous amount of role, actually. Obviously, the first and the biggest important one is going to be the chemical industry, because about 70,000 molecules get produced, actually. And the materials, for example, cloth, or any of these are staked. We don't have any end of life cycle assessment analysis of it, actually. And I think that's where the biomanufacturing processes will take up priorities, and many of these technologies will produce in this method. Functional food and smart proteins, another area that will become very revolutionarily. As agriculture will become, the land will become more and more expensive, the agriculture land will continue to diminish. And this will continue to change the dimensions of how non-agriculture based crops will be grown, actually. And therefore, they will start growing through. You must have seen today only, actually, there's an article in Times of India cover saying saffron grown in the labs in Bangalore and in Mumbai, actually. So, these will come out of the agriculture land and come into the labs, and that's why one has to look at it. So, precision biotherapeutics, as we continue to grow in the area, gene and cell therapy, monoclonal antibodies will become the primary drivers of pharmaceutical research activities. Climate change, resilient agriculture. Of course, we will have to capture the carbon dioxide and convert into utility molecules, because we have otherwise no option of decreasing the temperature and carrying out this. And the futuristic marine and space research, as you all think of, is the real frontier that everybody is thinking of what the future generation will be. And what we again plan to do is the public-private partnership and international partnerships as our major mandate. And it's heartening to see that yesterday's White House announcement, joint statement, in fact, talks about the extent partnership to advance biotechnology and biomanufacturing and enhance biosafety as one of the major important activities for it. I thank you for all. I think let's innovate in India. That's what department wants you to do, and I think we'll be as usual, play an important support on this activity. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for taking us through the entire journey from the funding aspect as well as the strategic aspect, which DBT, BIRAC, and how it will be managed Mission COVID Suraksha. With this, I have a pleasure to request respected Dr. Vinod Paul, sir, Member Health Committee, to give his address. Sir, over to you, sir.
Namaste. Good afternoon. Honorable Minister of Science and Technology, Dr. Jitendra Singh Ji, distinguished Secretary, Dr. Rajesh Kokle, sir, Dr. Sanjay Singh and team Gennova, City of Celebration for Youth, Dr. N.K. Arora, Dr. Sareen, scientists, colleagues, members of the media,
It's truly a day of rejoicing, celebration, and being proud of the work that has been done by Gennova in producing a great vaccine, most advanced vaccine with even more advanced, unique features, world-class, world record-holding features, shall we say. Sir, it's not easy to imagine an mRNA vaccine which is stable in the refrigerator, which can be given to intradermal route, which is safe. And then in no time, we have a vaccine which is specific to the current variant and the variant family that is affecting now in the form of an endemic transmission. So truly a great achievement. And I've had the unique privilege of being a friend to Dr. Singh in the course of this journey. Sometimes I offered a shoulder, sometimes we held hands, but it's his persistence and his leadership that such a scientific feat has been achieved. So very, very proud, sir. So I would just like to put in this meeting, sir, the broader perspective of what India has done in the sphere of COVID vaccine, because that will make us truly very, very proud. It's a story of Atmanirbharta, sir, and a story of Atmavishwas, self-confidence. We knew we could do it, sir. So and I think the big vehicle in this, and truly commend the DVT and sir, your leadership. If we did not have COVID Suraksha, we didn't really have, a mechanism to make a difference through a collaborative effort. So thank you very much, sir, for blessing COVID Suraksha mission. People talk about Operation Warp Speed. They talk about $10 billion. Why did India not give? So you put on the table 900 crore, of which 700 plus crore have been spent. And you've seen family of 4 vaccines that have been produced as a result of this very efficient use of people's money, sir, public money. So it's a thank you for, sir, conceptualizing and leading COVID Mission Suraksha. That became the vehicle, sir. Otherwise, how do we support the industry? Which is a legal way to support the industry? And to conceive this so early in the course of vaccine development, sir, is amazing. So we talk about Operation Warp Speed, something like end of April. But on the 14th of April, the Honorable Prime Minister had given a call to create a vaccine. He challenged the young scientists, use that word, young scientists, to create vaccine for India and for the world. And truly, it's an amazing journey, sir, truly amazing leadership, and a great model of working together, all the labs, all the government systems, the regulator, and of course, the entire team from the industry. So very, very proud, sir. It's truly a proud moment. Sir, we are proud that India has ultimately got 8 vaccines. So our bouquet is as big as the bouquet that you received, sir, with different colors. And of course, mRNA stands out, a very unique vaccine because it uses a technology which was unheard of till about 2-3 years ago. And we actually improved on the technology that the world has, having heard those characteristics. Sir, we have used 5 platforms. We've used inactivated adenovectoral DNA, RNA, nanoparticle, protein subunit, and the intranasal by itself. So no other country, sir, has mastered all the platforms to the extent of having those vaccines on the table. They have been approved for use. So it's an amazing journey, sir. And India delivered the vaccine through Indian vaccines, Indian needles, syringes, by Indian vaccinators. So it's a absolutely fabulous journey, sir, that we all are proud of achievement. So I want to make 2 or 3 points in this regard. If we had not made our own vaccines, 2.2 billion doses, there were no vaccines to be made available. Pfizer had done about 3 billion doses till 2021, and Moderna had done just under 1 billion. There were no vaccines for India. And then these vaccines come typically at a cost of $20 or more. So $40 per individual. Where is this money, sir? This would have meant 1% of GDP, even if the vaccines were available, 3 lakh crore or more would have been. We could have put that forth, but simply there were no vaccines. If we had not created, and we were not lucky, and we didn't have the kind of leadership and all this ecosystem that we are talking about, we were in a deep soup, sir. This nation would have been very, very badly, seen a very bad face. So we are aware today from the modeling data that the vaccine in the first year of vaccination saved 34 lakh lives in India. So this is a modeling study available in Lancet. They did it for the entire world. The number is 34 lakh lives saved in the first year of vaccination. So we are now aware from the estimates done by the Institute for Competitiveness and Stanford US Asia Tech Management Center that the positive impact of the vaccination program in India has been to the tune of $18.3 billion. And if you make a net projection, taking away the cost, then it is $15.4 billion US dollar, and that's 1 lakh crore rupees. And India's health budget, as ministry budget, is 80,000 crore. That tells how it has been such a remarkable development for our nation. So the importance of this vaccine is also, the last point, sir, is truly for future, because this is the platform which can respond at a very fast pace for new immunogens, and new viruses, and so on. And therefore, this is a very, very special capability that we have demonstrated. Going forward, there will be unforeseen challenges, unexpected challenges, and in that platform that Sanjay has now mastered and curated would be extremely useful, sir. The benchmark for new vaccines, for new pandemic, new outbreak is 100 days, and mRNA can respond in that short period of time. So going forward, sir, we are not only looking at vaccine development, in a routine way, but should such challenges happen, we have a very rapid response. Of course, we have heard about the possibility of cancer vaccine, dengue vaccines, vaccines against antimicrobial resistant organisms. So it's opened a new world of science at the cutting edge for India. So the last point I also want to make one more point. Second last. Firstly, the speed and the ingenuity of the Indian public health system. So 98% of the vaccines were delivered free, sir, through the government public health system. Only 2.3% till yesterday were delivered through the private sector on payment. It's a remarkable journey. And so the vaccines moved by plane, by automobile, by boat, by drone, on shoulder, on cycle, and camels. This is again a great journey as to how it was implemented. So how vaccines became vaccination is by itself is a proud story which must be stated, sir, over and over again, sir. So the last point I wish to submit, sir, is preparedness for the future, sir. So the world is trying to put together, and the different countries are trying to put together, I should say, sir. The world may or may not do it as a whole, but we have to do, sir, that if unforeseen health emergencies come up on the scene, particularly from the One Health paradigm, particularly the kind of outbreak that we have seen here, then, sir, we should be ready, having learned these lessons and got the capability like this, to be able to respond very quickly to use countermeasures. The three countermeasures being the vaccines, treatments, and the diagnostics. So we need to create a stable ecosystem which is lying in readiness for us to start running, because other countries now will also run faster than what they have done, and we are competing with them, and they have no time or resources to be offered to us. So we have to do it on our own. So, sir, I plead that we need to work together, sir, to create a system which is ready for future, which means that we have vaccine libraries, sir, we have immunogen libraries, we have products that are ready up to the stage of phase 2A, and so that when the need arises, that initial phase in COVID-19, where there were no diagnostics, treatments were not there, sir, the vaccines were not there, could be shortened in the next eventuality, sir. As a team, we're working on this idea, and we look forward to, sir, bringing to your attention and for your consideration, sir, how together as a whole of government, we will create a system, an ecosystem for future readiness, sir, and we will seek your guidance. But we would like you to, sir, keep in mind that that is one of the imperatives of the day, for India. I'm very, very honored to be here. Thank you for the kind invite. Thank you very much. Jai Hind.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for taking us along again that journey, which the Indian vaccine story is. We are delighted to be part of it. With this, sir, we have come to the Eureka moment, the formal release and launch of GEMCOVAC-OM by your hand, sir. So may I request the Gennova team to present to sir the vaccine for formal release.
टाइम मिलेगा सबको मिल जाएगा टाइम थोड़ा सा
Sir, may I now request you to give your address, sir, and to address us.
Member Niti Ayog and our very senior colleague from the medical fraternity, Dr. Vinod Paul, you were listening just now. Dr. Rajesh Gokhale, who happens to be Secretary DBT right now, but otherwise in his own right is one of the leading biotechnologists in the country today. We have Dr. Arora, Sareem, Krishna, all of them well-known names in the medical circles. Of course, veteran Mr. Mehta, Dr. Sanjay Singh, whose presentation you were watching just now. Our colleagues in the Department of Biotechnology, Dr. Alka Sharma, Dr. Mukherjee, and the entire Gennova team. At the outset, it gives me a personal delight to be meeting many of the old friends. I think I visited your premises about 20 years back. And there was a block coming up at that time. There was some kind of a construction going on. And I was told that I must come back here to see when it is complete. But I didn't go back. Now we would look forward to that. So I'm glad that we have always shared some kind of the equation, and now that makes the task easier for us to collaborate. So at the outset, I have to compliment the Department of Biotechnology, Gennova, the Niti Aayog for having contributed to making this happen. And this celebration this afternoon is also a joint celebration. So sometimes we collaborate together, but we don't celebrate together. So it took us some time to learn not to work in silos. Because earlier on, we were working also silos. When we came out of silos and started working together, realizing that silos could not move us beyond a certain point, then we did work, but after having accomplished, we didn't celebrate. And the grudge was that he's taken the ownership, I'm glad that all of us now today jointly celebrated it. And each one of us has recognized each other's role in making this happen. Biotechnology having conducted the trials and also having contributed to BIREC, and of course, Gennova having played a very sterling role, and Niti Aayog being our knowledge partner. So each one's role is being acknowledged. And I think my first thought was that this also ushers India into a new era, and that is of preventive healthcare. And I think the entire credit goes to Prime Minister Modi. Also because we were inherently not made like that. We never had a temperament or a psyche or a mindset which would be amenable to preventive healthcare. Because we, Indian society as a whole, did not even, an average Indian would not go in even for a treatment if he was afflicted by a disease. They would wait for a few days. And then if something goes the other way, then they would take it as God's decree. So I think that's also partly because our socio-economic background was like that. So we could not actually enjoy the luxury of catering to preventive aspects. But Prime Minister Modi has awakened the nation. And I was telling that the other day, some of the colleagues from abroad, I said, have you ever imagined that a country which had no aptitude for preventive healthcare is now taken up a leading role in preventive healthcare across the world? So, this vaccine, possibly the first of its kind, is again an evidence of that, because all of us, as part of the scientific fraternity, have learned not to speak without evidence. So I think this is one glaring instance of that India has taken up a leading. So there's a huge turnaround that has happened in the last few years. And I think COVID was a great learning experience. The post-COVID India has emerged stronger in more ways than one. And it's also acquainted us to a number of inherent features which we were not aware of. It helped us rediscover many of our own characteristics. For example, I was talking that the other day at the AIMS during COVID. I said, sometimes I feel guilty having been a teacher of medicine for almost more than a quarter of a century. In the last decade or so, we hardly gave any importance to the communicable disease. We were talking more of the disease of which belong to Dr. Sareen's domain or my own area of endocrinology, because we thought we were now into those kind of metabolic disorders, and we have got over those times, the early decades when Dr. Paul would recall when tuberculosis and cholera were the main mortality factors in India. So we did actually train our residents to an extent that we were training them in the 50s and 60s. But then the best part is that overnight they got geared up. COVID stuck, and we could see our young residents. I think the maximum contribution in the control of COVID has been done by these youngsters. They were just out of their junior residency, senior residency, never actually also like earlier times, because when I was an intern, we used to have a posting in the sanatorium. I mean, if I tell now, it will be laughable. I was sent to Tambaram Sanatorium, one of the world's biggest sanatorium, close to the Chennai airport. Yeah. Because those days the emphasis was like that. So now so what I'm trying to say, coming back to what I was saying, is it made us realize the inherent resilience that our health system has. We have in our DNA the traits which were not discovered. So COVID helped us discover, and Prime Minister Modi helped us turn an adversity into virtue. the manner in which the entire program was carried forward as was being very nicely put across by Dr. Vinod Pal. And I think the best evidence of that, as Dr. Rajesh was telling, is what has happened in the last 2 days. Today, we are operating from an equal platform with USA. So it's a relationship not from a position of weakness, not that we look up to them. It's both ways now. Whether it's space, the other day I said now we are breaking grounds in the space. So it's actually happened that way. And I feel all of us who are associated with this exercise are fortunate enough to have lived through these times, because maybe today we do not realize that it's a kind of some kind of a history in making. But a few years later, this day also, the 24th of June is going to go down in the history. And at the same time, it also proves more than one thing at the time. Of course, as was being mentioned by Dr. Pal, our journey towards Atmanirbharta. Now we are in a position, we had the capabilities, possibly we didn't have that kind of a milieu, or we didn't have that kind of patronage from the level of the policymakers or the kind of political leadership, which fortunately we now have in the last 9 years. The prioritization is also now different from what it was till a decade ago. And therefore, it has given all the scientific fraternity enough leverage and outlet to explore their potentials to the maximum extent. And I'm sure some of the best brains sitting in this room right now would bear that out, because we've sometimes felt constrained going beyond that. I was saying the other day, we had aspiration, but we felt prisoners of the aspiration. So to give outlet to the aspiration, you look for a different world. Some of us migrated out, some of us went there. But here now we have that kind of a milieu, which is actually manifesting in more ways than one, including what has happened in the area of the vaccines. The other is that this is one of the beautiful examples of public-private participation, which has been the hallmark of this government. On the one hand, you have the whole of the government approach. On the one hand, you have all of the government approach, as Dr. Paul was mentioning. We have the BioRec here, we have the biotechnology, we have Niti Aayog here. And on the other hand, because by considered view, and I'm saying this with all the conviction and my confidence, that we cannot go beyond this unless we are equal partners. It has to be an extended integration, extended synergy, and an extended holistic approach. And fortunately, our Prime Minister Modi is very supportive of it. And the best evidence of that comes when he opened up the doors of Sriharikota, which was unimaginable. And nobody had even demanded, because we had reconciled to space being an area of confidentiality, or being locked, as Dr. Sanjay Singh is saying. And he could unlock that. And today we have about 150 startups just within 3 years. So see how much of talent was waiting to happen, and energy. So I think this is signaling, this event, as I said, is symbolic of more than one thing at a time. The Atmanirbhar Bharat, the PPP model, the pioneering and leading role that India is going to play as a preventive healthcare leader, and overall, it also ensures for India a global role and a global player. The manner in which the agreements happened yesterday also related to space, related to semiconductors, and of course, so we have actually assumed that, because now we are ready to live up to global parameters, to accept global challenges and to meet them. And the trials, as Sanjay Singh was mentioning, that it will be easier to work when we have common goals, is mentioning me. But I think we would also like to have a further wider integration when we do the clinical trials. And I have started that experiment to an extent that we have about 37 institutes in CSIR. Similarly, we have biotechnology. There's a lot many things common between what is happening in the Department of Biotechnology and happening in certain institutes of CSIR, because some of the institutes are actually dedicated to biotechnology, others to aromatic experiments, because each of the institutes has its own domain. So I think we could integrate with that. And also I had initiated an experiment at 2 of these cities where we could actually also bring on the same platform, which I refer to as extra scientific integration, extra medical integration. That's it. You could also involve IITs and IIMs, because sometimes it sounds absurd, but it has a tremendous meaning. We learned in COVID, the ventilators were being developed by IIT Kanpur and trials being done here. And sometimes the aims also being brought into the loop. And IIM, because we need to do market mapping and the market dynamics to be studied before we go in for startups or any other new projects. So I think in the years to come, times to come, we could look forward to that. Dr. Sanjay Singh was mentioning the larger pool and the vaccines, the ambitious program to develop vaccines for tuberculosis, malaria, and the other disease. I think one advantage we have in that sense that we have a huge resource pool. Till a few years back, we used to get at AIMS Delhi interns from UK. I think that stopped a few years ago. And also because even in the pre-independence times, many of the researchers from Britain came to India to conduct their experiments and projects on tropical disease because they didn't have much of a resource pool there. If you go to the General Hospital Madras, you'll still find a plate there. Donovan, it's written, Dr. Donovan used to sit in this lab and then became the famous Donovan bodies. So we have that advantage. Now it's up to us how much, because this is something which others don't have. So we have a huge pool. The other day, there was a team, we were, I think, in the US, and they said, what kind of diseases do we initiate with? I said, you name the disease and I have one. So we are also now, after post-COVID, also very much into the communicable diseases back if we had got up. And non-communicable, we were already adopted. In fact, when the non-communicable disease started happening in late 80s, mid-80s, somebody had remarked that now we have entered into an era of civilization. Because these were the diseases of civilization. we were still having disease of poor hygiene. So we are now having a combination of both sides because the society evolves as a whole. So we have that, but this could be also used as a dividend rather than a disadvantage. And lastly, I think we need to have now a good data repository out of this also. Now this vaccine is going to follow up also. Indian data for Indian problems and for Indian subjects. That is something, and of course, we could do a larger sharing amongst ourselves with what is happening at your institute, what is happening there, and we could come on later on with a common data as well. Speaking of from what Rajesh was saying about the biotech, I think this is a fact which is rather remain understated, but there's a huge value is going to be realized in 5 years from now. Biotechnology is going to be the major contributor to India's economy in the next 20-25 years. We have been talking about Amrit Kal, and it's true that we would be reaching that pedestal, but have we ever thought scientifically where would that addition come? Where would that supplementation come? Because all the other resources have been exhausted. A, and B, the biotechnology processes were not put to optimum use. So when we talk of biotechnology, it's not limited only to vaccines. Even your agriculture sector is making a huge utility of the biotechnology techniques, whether it's the fruits and the vegetables, the horticulture. You are doubling the production of the produce. You are improving the quality of produce. In the dairy sector, we have startups where you are improving the quality of milk, increasing the quantity of milk, sometimes seeking to improve the quality of the progeny. So all this is happening through it. Unfortunately, the awareness is lacking among the stakeholders and in the society. So there, I think we need to work harder. That's why I'm glad we have media also today amongst us, because media has to also be a partner of this integrated exercise. You don't have to look at us only as reporters. You have to be looking at us as partners, because that is something which is not actually realized in those who could actually make use of it. So similarly, in the oceans, now we have also launched deep sea mission. The Prime Minister spoke twice about it from the Independence Day. both in 2021-22. And we have the longest coast, 7,500 kilometers. And all those minerals and metals which come from below the biodiversity are going to be the domain of Dr. Rajesh Gokhale. Unfortunately, people look at him as some kind of a biologist working only in a dingy dark room, vaccine, small microscope. But they don't know the domain is so big. And I think the irony is that this was an exclusive asset, always biotechnology. We have a huge Himalayan range which others don't have. We have at least 5-6 states located in the lap of Himalayas, beginning from Arunachal, Himachal, Uttarakhand, Jammu Kashmir. We have about 10-12 states along the sea bank which others don't have. All this is biotechnology, and this is going to add value to the. But what is heartening now, at least for the timing, is that before 2014, we just had 50 biotech startups. Can you imagine? This is sometimes laughable, it's embarrassing also to say. A country as big as India was having only 50 registered biotech startups. Today, it's gone up to almost 6,000, and I think it's going up. And last year, a survey was done among the class 12 boys and girls, and they put biotechnology at number 4 or 5 in the preference. Earlier on, they didn't know. So I think this is one of the best times happening for the India's scientific fraternity. Also, one of the best times happening for the India's medical fraternity, in the sense that for the first time, the indigenous systems of medicine have been accepted as a part of the holistic approach. Because earlier on, I know even in allopathy, we had a certain amount of contempt or cynicism about, combining yoga and other things. But COVID taught us a lesson. So we were receiving frantic calls, even from some of my colleagues central abroad, who always looked at all these indigenous methods with a lot of contempt, would make frantic call to ask whether there was a booster in a homeopathy or allopathy. In spite of the fact that way back, I think one of the first studies that we did in our domain, diabetes, was in 1997. Dr. B.K. Sahai from Hyderabad, who now works at elderly person's son is there now, Rakesh, where we could actually identify yogasanas like Mayurasana, Bhujangasana, Paschimottanasana, Ardha-Matsyendrasana, which could reduce the insulin doses or even the oral antidiabetics, or could act as good adjuvants. But in spite of that, the world was not ready to accept. They thought we had done that simply to get the paper publishable. So I'm glad that this is also one of the good outcomes happened. And therefore, as I said, to reiterate, it's one of the best times happening for India, one of the best times happening for the Indian scientific fraternity. And lucky would be those who live on to see the better times happening. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I think Dr. Sanjay requested 5 minutes of your time, sir, to present you a memento, sir, which was not in the schedule. He just requested me. If you allow, sir.
We have solid love of technology. Professor Arora. Thank you, sir. And I request one photograph for my young team who has worked for 2.5 years.
So we can do that after the closure.
We can do after the closure.
So may I now request Dr. Jitendra Kumar to propose the vote of thanks. MD Bharat.
It's my honor to deliver a vote of thanks for this August gathering. At the outset, first and foremost, I thank Dr. Jitendra Singh, Honorable Minister of State, Independent Charge, Ministry of Science and Technology, Minister of State PMO, Ministry of Personal Public Grievance and Pension, Department of Atomic Energy, and Department of Space, Government of India. Thank you, sir, for your kind presence, gracious presence, and delivering a very enlightening lecture as well as launch of the product. Now I thank Dr. Vinod K. Paul, Member Health, Niti Aayog, for your gracious presence and also addressing the gathering. Dr. Rajesh S. Gokhale, Secretary, Department of Biotechnology and Chairman BIOTech. He has always been a leading light and a key for the development of all these products which we are launching. Dr. N.K. Arora, Executive Director, InClean Trust. I thank you for your gracious presence. Dr. Alka Sharma, Senior Advisor, Scientist H, DBT, Government of India. I thank you, ma'am, for guiding us to launch this event and to organize this event and launch the product. Dr. Satish R. Mehta, Chairman, Gennova. Thank you for gracious presence as well as your leading role in the whole event. Dr. Sanjay Singh, CEO, Gennova Pharma. Thank you so much. I thank all the officials of DBT, BIRAC, scientists and staff of Gennova, and all the other distinguished invited guests for this occasion, especially Professor S.K. Sareen, Dr. Naveen Khanna, for gracing this occasion. Last but not least, the members of press, I place on record my heartfelt thanks to the press. I hope it will be covered very nicely. Thank you so much.
I think already
I think just
done, but any
I just have one question. I just recently saw that Pfizer call and said that they will be charging commercial rates of nearly $130 for booster doses of mRNA. So just want to get a sense of what are your prices for exports going to be like? Do we have any clarity on what these boosters will cost?
We are very clear. Price per dose.
When do you plan to roll out commercial?
Now, Sir has said it is rolled out. You can see the vaccine from Monday onwards. Jacob, on the price point, 2292 per dose, 2,292 per dose. Yes, thank you. 2,292. So this is the science, and each vaccine has its own prerogative, and this is our prerogative.
Sir, Sanjay Ayushman from Money Control. With the uptake of boosters seen a tepid response, how do you take it? You
can tell him, Sanjay, there is a specific boosters. Yes, specific Omicron boosters. So that's the difference. So there's a qualitative difference.
So booster is, this is the booster, and now booster is available. You will have the response also.
So you are using it as also as a possibility of getting a booster cover. Now this is booster specific. It's only for booster.
मैं कोशिश करता हूँ आपको कि पिछले 3 साल में हमारे 3 वेव्स आई। एक तो पहले वाली जो एंसेस्ट्रल वायरस था, उसके बाद डेल्टा हुआ और अब फिर ये ओमिक्रॉन मोटा। तो जो सारी पुरानी वैक्सीन हैं वो एंसेस्ट्रल वायरस के अगेंस्ट थी, लेकिन ये भारत की पहली वैक्सीन है जो ओमिक्रॉन स्पेसिफिक है। और ओमिक्रॉन स्पेसिफिक वायरस के जो उसका रिस्पॉन्स है वो पुराने वायरस को भी कवर करता है और ओमिक्रॉन के सारे सब वेरिएंट्स को भी अच्छी तरीके से कवर करता है। तो ये डिजायरेबल है और WHO की 17 मई को एक मीटिंग हुई थी, उस मीटिंग के अनुसार भी मोनोवेलेंट ओमिक्रॉन बेस्ड स्पेसिफिक वैक्सीन डिजायरेबल।
Dr. Paul, will the government also procure this vaccine? It will be available in the private channel.
In the simple terms, this specific booster. ये booster के लिए ही है. वो जो था वो था उसको आप प्राइवेट डोज आप उसको यूज कर लेते थे. The hope that it will also give you protection. I mean,
can I continue in the same way if you want? Most of us got Omicron itself. So most of us were protected by the white virus.
That was
why do we need an Omicron-based booster when you have already had? And remember Dr. Paul and Dr. Arora and Venusuru talking about how Omicron gave widespread immunity to the country. So why do we need an Omicron-based?
That's a different thing.
Why do we need an Omicron-based booster? If you say we need it for next platforms for vaccines, that is understandable.
No, I have to explain it scientifically. So, there is a humoral activity. Yes, there is a herd immunity also possible that can give some protection. But if you see my presentation, I have only prioritized, as per WHO norms, the higher risk group. Higher risk group. And who are the higher risk group? People aged 60, you can see the whole WHO has put a norm. The people who has comorbidity, people who are immunocompromised, either in oncology or in nephrology, or people who have diabetes, people who have heart problems. So these rules have been already established. And to have effective immunity against new variants, you need an updated vaccine. And this Omicron booster is an updated vaccine.
Dr. Sanjay, just one second. What actually, the point is that herd immunity is incidental. Here you are intervening to induce immunity.
Yes.
So you can't risk away certain high vulnerable groups, which you have mentioned. Herd immunity का क्या पता पल्लवा अगला को होगी या मुझे ना हुई हो. And I may be having all the other risk factors. So this is an interventional procedure of inducing immunity rather than getting it incidentally.
Can I add to Sir's what Sir has said? Can I add to that briefly? It's a very important point. The herd immunity, the antibodies will die out in 6 months or so, and it is all over the world. The levels will go down.
That's true, Dr. Serene. You cannot predict in case of every individual when they will die out. They may not have reached that level also.
At the age of 60 and others, the antibody levels may come down as early as 90 days. So what you require is a multifaceted. This Omicron has, like Dr. NK has said, that you have 370 variants. So this is a variant, covers all the variants of Omicron. And if you take that with mRNA vaccines, your antibody levels, even if you have taken one, even if you were infected and you take the vaccine, your levels will stay high at least for 12 months to 18 months. And therefore, there is a relevance of booster, and especially Omicron booster, which is not available on any other platforms. I'll just add to what Sir has said.
ये सब चीजों को स्वीकार करते हुए कि ये जो इसके अनेकों प्रकार की विविधताएं हो सकती हैं और उन सारी विविधताओं से निपटने के लिए हमारे जो वैज्ञानिक हैं जिस प्रकार से कार्य कर रहे हैं, उन सब चीजों को स्वीकार करते हुए आगे का जो है कि जो आपने 2299 बताया है और जिस प्रकार मोदी जी हमारे देश के स्वास्थ्य के लिए और हम सबके स्वास्थ्य के लिए कार्य कर रहे हैं, अन्य क्षेत्रों में इतना पैसा खर्च किया जा रहा है और अन्य क्षेत्रों में हम हर चीज के ऊपर किसी प्रकार की दरों के अंदर कटौती कर रहे हैं. क्या इसके ऊपर दरों की कटौती करने की कोई योजना है?
ये डॉक्टर पॉल नोट कर रहे हैं आपका जो आप कह रहे हैं, क्योंकि वो तो बिजनेस उनका नहीं है.
डॉक्टर सिंह, इस सीरीज में ये मतलब अवेलेबल हो पाएगा? Dr. Singh, will the government be procuring this vaccine? It will be only available in private channels.
So that is, as he's hinting at, that will in the course of, as we move on, we'll take a call. तभी मैंने कहा Dr. Paul ने note कर रहे हैं जो आप कह रहे हैं.
Thank you, sir. Sir,
Yeah.
Sir, Rajasvi Gupta from Akashvani News. I'm confident that all of you, your contribution has been very paramount in creating and taking us out of the turbulent times of COVID. So my question is going to be regarding the presence of the PharmaJet technology in these GEMCOVAC vaccines. So when it came to vaccines, there was a lot of turmoil amongst the audience regarding the safety and the efficacy that came to it, even during the peak of COVID times. So now with this presence of new technology, in contrast to the conventional needled technology that we have in vaccines, how do you ensure that the audience is going to trust that it is going to provide better immunogenicity compared to the needled technology? So basically, how do you ensure that about the assurance of the audience and to ensure that it reaches the mass audience per se?
So, thank you. So, the science is run by common sense. Science is run something more, and which is the pramad of parinam. My Honorable Prime Minister used this term some time back. And why? We have a design clinical trial which has been reviewed by the committee that clinical trial is effective against powered enough to answer the question, and the clinical trial has been conducted in 30 centers. And then the data has been collected, that data has been presented to various committee review, not only this committee, but then the office of DCGI, and then above that NTG, and all that has happened. And based on that, this vaccine has been approved. So it is.
I think in a single sentence, Sanjay, the very fact that it has received approval from the drug controller itself is evidence enough, because they would not do it for nothing, particularly when it's a new product. They are extra cautious because they would be then at the receiving end. So I think we have sufficient evidence, research findings to accept it as being reasonably safe. And the other part of its acceptability and awareness, I think for that you have to partner us as media persons.
Yeah, fair enough. Thank you, sir.